Every offense has a way of being carried out. Even when a crime appears chaotic, the offender still makes choices that shape how the event unfolds. In forensic analysis, that way of operating is called modus operandi. It is one of the most important concepts in behavioral crime analysis. Modus operandi describes the practical actions an offender uses to commit a crime. It shows how the offender tries to solve the operational problems of the offense. It is not a personality label. It does not tell us who the offender is in a complete psychological sense. It is an operational method. It tells us how the offender approached the situation, managed risk, and attempted to complete the crime. It includes decisions about approach, timing, tools, movement, control, victim interaction, concealment, and exit. MO is visible across the full sequence of behavior. It does not exist only at one moment of the crime. It shows how the offender tries to make the crime work before, during, and after the main act. The first question is not what the action means psychologically. That question comes later. The first question is, what function did this behavior serve? What practical problem did it solve for the offender? Did it help the offender gain access, control the victim, avoid detection, reduce uncertainty? MO is practical before it is expressive. Before we interpret meaning, we must understand function. It belongs to the mechanics of the offense. It is the offender's working solution to a specific criminal task. It answers the question, how did the offender do it? How did they move from intention to action? But that simple question can reveal a great deal. Method often exposes planning, confidence, fear, competence, and limitation. Every practical decision reflects some combination of knowledge, confidence, fear, skill, opportunity, and pressure. Some offenders plan carefully. Their behavior shows preparation before the crime begins. They select locations, prepare tools, study routines, choose timing, and try to reduce uncertainty before they act. Their MO may show patience, structure, and awareness of risk. It may suggest that the offender was thinking ahead. Other offenders act with little preparation. Their method develops under pressure rather than before the event. Their MO may show urgency, poor control, emotional pressure, weak planning, or limited ability to manage unexpected events. Most cases are not purely organized or purely chaotic. Real behavior often falls somewhere between structure and breakdown. An offender may prepare carefully and still lose control during the event. Planning before the crime does not guarantee control during the crime. That is why the analyst must ask, organized in which phase? Before the offense, during the offense, or after it? And disorganized in response to what pressure? Resistance, interruption, fear, time, or emotional overload? Modus operandi is best understood as a sequence. A single action rarely explains the whole method. One action leads to another. The offender approaches, reacts, adjusts, continues, withdraws, or changes direction. The offender chooses, adjusts, reacts, and sometimes makes mistakes. Those mistakes are part of the behavioral record. Mistakes are not just failures. They can show where the offender's plan, confidence, or control began to break down. They can reveal pressure points. They show where reality challenged the offender's expectations. A method often looks stable until reality disrupts it. The offender's response to disruption may be more revealing than the original plan. Resistance, time pressure, noise, interruption, victim reaction, or fear of detection can change everything. The difference between the intended method and the actual behavior matters. It shows the gap between plan and performance. It shows how the offender adapts under pressure. Adaptation may reveal experience, flexibility, panic, or lack of preparation. MO can also reflect skill, experience, and confidence. Offenders do not always operate at the same level over time. An offender may learn from previous crimes. They may keep what worked and abandon what created risk. They may become faster, quieter, more controlled, or more selective. Their method may become more efficient without becoming more psychologically complex. This does not mean the offender's psychology has changed completely. Sometimes only the operational strategy has improved.
Sometimes the method changes because the offender becomes more effective.
The motive may remain stable while the technique evolves. Sometimes it changes because the situation demands it. A different location, victim response, or level of risk may force a different method. Different environments create different operational problems. A private space, public space, vehicle, or isolated area, each demands different decisions. The same offender may behave differently in different conditions. Variation alone is not enough to exclude a behavioral link. Variation does not automatically mean a different offender. It may mean the same offender adapting to different circumstances. And similarity does not automatically mean the same offender. Many offenders may use the same practical method because it is simply effective. Similar methods can be used by different people for simple practical reasons. A common method is not always a meaningful pattern. Different methods can still reflect the same operational logic. The surface may change, while the underlying decision pattern remains similar. Context decides meaning. Without context, MO analysis becomes vulnerable to false connections and weak conclusions. MO must be interpreted inside the full circumstances of the offense: timing, location, victim behavior, risk, pressure, and opportunity. The analyst asks, what was necessary? Which actions were required for the offense to happen at all? What was efficient? Which actions helped the offender save time, reduce exposure, or increase control? What changed under pressure? Which parts of the method collapsed, shifted, or became more aggressive? And what repeated across cases despite changing circumstances? Repetition under different conditions may become analytically important. A strong MO analysis separates stable features from flexible and situational ones. This prevents the analyst from treating every detail as equally meaningful.
Stable features may reveal habit, skill, preference,
learned strategy, or consistent operational thinking. Flexible features may reveal adaptation, caution, experimentation, or the offender's ability to respond to new conditions.
Situational features may reveal the demands of the moment, not the offender's deeper behavioral pattern.
This distinction is essential. Modus operandi is not signature. Confusing the two can distort the entire analysis. MO helps the offender achieve the goal. It belongs mainly to practical function. Signature behavior points beyond practical necessity. It may reveal what the offender seeks psychologically from the act. MO belongs mainly to practical function. Signature belongs more closely to psychological expression. This is why the distinction matters. Method shows how the offender acts. Signature may show what the offender needs. In this lesson, we established the operational foundation. We examined method as behavior under real conditions. We examined how offenders act, adapt, learn, manage practical problems, and respond when the situation changes. Method can reveal a pattern, but it does not reveal everything. It must be read carefully, functionally, and in sequence.